In 1957, the Soviet Union successfully launched the Sputnik 1 satellite into orbit. The United States suddenly found itself on the defensive, realizing the Cold War had just expanded into space. The following year, the U.S. government responded by creating NASA. Headquartered in Hampton, Virginia, this new agency was tasked with solving the most complex physics and engineering problems of the 20th century. This visualization maps a theoretical orbital trajectory. Building a bigger rocket was only half the struggle. The real barrier was calculation, millions of flawless mathematical equations required to guide a spacecraft and bring a human safely back. To accomplish this safely, the United States desperately needed the sharpest mathematical minds on the planet. But NASA's location presented a glaring contradiction. Hampton, Virginia sat firmly in the American South, a region strictly governed by the oppressive social and legal codes of Jim Crow segregation. Daily life was dictated by irrational etiquette. Black and white employees were forbidden from eating together. White colleagues refused to use basic courtesy titles like Mrs. or Miss when addressing black professionals, insisting on using only their first names. This systemic racism permeated the very laboratories designing the future. Brilliant scientists were forced to adhere to degrading separations, right down to the building's infrastructure and public doors. An agency explicitly tasked with looking beyond the stars was entirely constrained by the earthly prejudices of its own campus. During and after World War II, a severe labor shortage forced NASA's predecessor to look outside its usual hiring pool. They began employing highly skilled women to act as human computers, manually crunching aeronautical data. Among these new hires was a group of exceptionally talented black mathematicians, including Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson. These women lived a jarring duality. They were executing the indispensable aerospace calculations required for flight, yet the moment they put down the chalk, they were treated as second-class citizens. To comply with segregation laws, management installed designated metal bathroom signs. The women often had to walk nearly half a mile across the sprawling Langley campus just to use a restroom marked colored girls. Physically, they stood out, often wearing bright, jewel-toned dresses amidst a sea of white men in short-sleeved white shirts. Yet their massive contributions to the space program remained completely unknown to the general public. They were hidden in plain sight, plotting the mathematical future of the nation inside an environment actively designed to demean them. The pressure reached a boiling point in April of 1961 when the USSR successfully sent Yuri Gagarin into orbit. The United States was officially falling further behind. This urgency forced a structural shift at NASA. The mission to catch up to the Soviets was simply too critical to allow segregation to slow down the mathematics. Johnson, Vaughan, and Jackson took enormous professional risks by directly confronting their leadership. They demanded equal access to the classified editorial meetings and raw data they needed to execute their jobs accurately. Their undeniable excellence broke through the rigid hierarchy. The institution adapted, leading to Dorothy Vaughan being promoted as the agency's first black manager. In the high-stakes environment of 1961, NASA found that prioritizing mathematical accuracy and professional competence was the only path forward, regardless of local social custom. The defining test arrived on February 20, 1962. Astronaut John Glenn was preparing to become the first American to orbit the Earth. By this time, NASA had transitioned to using new, room-sized electronic computers to plot the flight path. But the astronauts were inherently skeptical of these unverified machine calculations. Before stepping into the capsule, Glenn made a specific demand. He refused to launch until Katherine Johnson was brought in to manually run the numbers and confirm the machine's exact trajectories. When the Mercury Redstone rocket cleared the launch pad, the data provided by the agency's most advanced electronic computer had been validated and secured by Katherine Johnson's hand. The integration at NASA yielded permanent professional milestones. Mary Jackson went on to become the agency's first female engineer, and Dorothy Vaughan cemented her role as a pioneering manager. Their quiet integration at Langley directly paralleled, and in many ways preceded, the broader legislative victories of the civil rights movement, occurring years before the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Their prolonged erasure is a common feature of American mythology. Countless marginalized women have had their critical historical contributions hidden away, only to be rediscovered decades later. Katherine Johnson's 2015 medal marked the end of half-century of anonymity. Her story serves as a vital reminder that the history of American progress was written in part by those who were once forced into